I'd like to call this meeting to order. Clerk of the board, would you please call the roll?
Freeholder Carter. Present.
Freeholder Estrada.
Present.
Freeholder Hudak.
Present.
Freeholder Jallo.
Here.
Freeholder Kowalski.
Here.
Freeholder Mirabella.
Present.
Freeholder Wright.
Here.
Vice Chairman Granados.
Present.
And Chairman Bergen.
Here.
Chairman, you have 9 freeholders present.
Thank you. Clerk of the board, please lead us in the prayer and salute to the flag.
Humbly we ask God, the giver of peace and the lover of charity, to give the entire family of nations true agreement with his will, and to grant the light of his spirit on all who work for justice and peace. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk of the board, would you please read the statement of compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act?
The Chair wishes to announce that pursuant to the requirements of New Jersey statutes annotated, Title 10, Chapter 4, Section 10 of the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting of the Board of Chosen Freeholders of the County of Union has been given by mailing the annual meeting schedule for the year 2017, along with periodic changes necessitated by circumstances, to the newspapers circulating within the County of Union who are designated to receive such notice, and by posting the annual meeting schedule for the year 2017 in the Administration Building, and further by filing the annual meeting schedule for the year 2017 with the Office of the County Clerk.
Thank you. Thank you. Tonight we have the pleasure of something we do once a year, and that is to present the awards to our Arbor Day poem writers from our schools. So I'm going to call on Freeholder Kowalski to please join me up front for these presentations. We have a very active shade tree commission here in the county, and they do a bunch of wonderful things, and I just want to recognize them and the chairman, Jim Natowitz. Jim, stand up. And maybe all the members could just stand up. Or any here? Yeah.
Yeah, Barbara here. Come on, Barbara.
They do many things during the year. They oversee donation of trees to schools and teaching the kids how to plant them. But to me, one of the most fun things is tonight when we get to hear the poems that the kids have written for Arbor Day. So tonight we're going to have 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, and we had a total of 56 kids who wrote poems this year. We have some of the winners here, but they're also hanging up outside. You could take a look at them. We're going to start with the 4th grade, and the 3rd place winner for the 4th grade is Anna Maliakal from Holy Trinity.
And also from the 4th grade, our 2nd place winner, Philip Snare from School 1. And our 1st place winner in the 4th grade is Bianca Barreto from St. Bartholomew Academy.
Throw them over, throw them over. We want Bianca's picture. We want her to read it. Should we descend from and say, hey, please, we have to read Bianca's?
We'd like to have Bianca read your first place
Thank you,
poem. Do you have a copy of it with you, or? Oh, okay. This is it?
Okay, buy his copies.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Mother's ready.
Sheriff
See
to
that?
the
Mother was
rescue.
ready.
What trees mean to me. When I look outside, great beauty I see, an ocean of green looking back at me. When the winds whisper, waves of leaves roll by, as the tree tops crest, limbs out to the sky. Birds fly in and out the branches of oak, singing good morning, it's time we awoke. Let's listen to the Lorax who speaks for the trees. It's time for planting, get down on our knees. Providing clean air and so many fruits, trees are so useful from the leaves to the roots. Taking care of trees is worth our weight in gold, for they'll pay us back more than 100-fold.
Okay, great. Thank you, fourth graders. You can
Okay, now we're going to move on to the third grade. Third place, Aileen Moran from Our Lady of Guadalupe.
That's fifth grade. It's okay. All right, congratulations. Just wait for a second. And then our first place winner in fifth grade is Reese Passuth from the Henley School. Congratulations again. Oops. So we'll take a picture.
Seasons of change. Each season, as I look out my window, I see you standing tall, taking on different personalities. In the spring, you wake up, full of the promise of new life. The birds begin to plant their families in your branches, and the buds that pop out of your branches let me know that the warmer weather is approaching. In the summer, you are vibrant and full of life. Your green leaves sway in the summer breeze, and you look tall and mighty in my front yard. I sit under your shade and look up at your leaves as they reach into the sky. I don't think about the changes that you will soon make, but instead take you for granted. In the fall, you remind me that you are there by silently dropping leaves in my yard. At first, a few, then what seems like overnight, many leaves. I look at you and see your colors changing, first green, then scarlet red, then a bright yellow that reminds me of the summer sun, the warm sun that is slowly fading away, like you. Then the winter arrives and your leaves are gone. You stand there with no trace of life. Your tall branches look like they are scraping the sky. It is amazing to think in a few months you will begin the process all over again, and you will once again be full of life. You remind me of life, the life that I find all around me, the circle of life from birth to death. You and the other trees around us breathing light into our world and making it a better place, one leaf at a time.
Great job.
I can't read that.
Just Our second place winner in 5th grade couldn't be here, but that was Limari Arvello from Duarte Marty School, number 28 in Elizabeth. So now moving on to the 6th grade, 3rd place, Eliana Ficara, Lincoln School.
And in 2nd place, we have George Cueva from school number 28. Oh, okay, George didn't make it tonight. And 1st place, we have Catherine Dustin, also from Lincoln School.
Let's get a rhythm here.
Yeah.
She's done it 10 times.
This is not their first rodeo.
No, I was going to say, they've done it every year. What are you talking about? DJ has got it.
One tall tree. An acorn fell upon my hand, and then I knew that a tree should stand. A little shoot grew out of the ground, which soon seemed like it touched the clouds. The lofty, lean tree was bursting with brand new buds of green. Often in the spring, the whole town hears groups of tiny bird families sing. The tree provides us with many features: shade, wood, fruit, and paper. They even give a home to many creatures. Suddenly a cold chill in the breeze descends upon the night, as one sees going south a flock of geese. With nothing left to spare, the tree grows quiet, but sends one last acorn flying through the air.
Okay, now we're going on to 7th grade. 3rd place, Cyril Maliakal from Holy Trinity. Second place, 7th grade, Angelica Dimitrik from Holy Trinity.
Holy Trinity participated very much.
And our first place winner is Mateo Vasquez from Our Lady of Guadalupe.
We got a poet here. That's the old St. What is St. Anthony's?
Is it? Is that
Oh, no,
what
this one's, yeah.
And Mateo is going to read for us.
He's in Spanish.
Plant a tree. Come, let us plant a tree. Tenderly, lovingly, some heart to cheer. Long may its branches sway, tender sweet birds chirp away. Long may its blossoms say, we love Arbor Day.
Finally, the 8th grade, 3rd place winner couldn't be here, but that was Eric Teixeira Duarte Marty School, number 28 in Elizabeth. And then 2nd place for 8th grade is Annie Exie from Kawami Middle School in Union.
All right, go on.
And our 8th grade first place winner is Sean McTurnan. I think some of his family have traveled a long distance for him today, so welcome and congratulations. So for our final poem of the night, we're going to ask Sean. Oh.
We just took too anxious. Can't get it.
Paparazzi. All right.
Tall trees and small trees. The green sentinels watching over their grounds, wind flowing through their leaves, composing all sorts of sounds. They exist far and wide, shading those who rest, kind landlords to those who dwell within their green reaches. Oh, how the tall trees cover the sky, and how the small trees blanket the earth. I sincerely thank all trees for what it's worth.
I would just like to thank the teachers who have their students participate and promote appreciation of trees. We are very glad to have you here, and of course we also want to thank the family members of all these wonderful poets. So congratulations to all of you.
Clear presentation.
Tonight we are going to have a presentation to the board concerning the Union County Community Law Enforcement Addiction Recovery, what's called CLEAR pilot program. So I'd like to call upon Sheriff Cryan, Acting Prosecutor Park, and Directors Moran and Guzzo to present this matter to the board.
You make extra copies, man. Thank you. Thank you very much.
These numbers on
Hello, darling. Can I go out? Sherry, can I go out and speak to that family?
Thank you.
Didn't clear the room, huh, Sheriff?
The room was clear.
Chairman, with your permission, it's a school night, so we understand.
Homework. I heard the last day wasn't so much fun.
That's actually the last.
You guys did a good job, though. Yeah, I want to go.
Well, I think the decision is made next time.
Oh, really? Was it cold in New York?
It was colder there than here.
Did you have any good meals at least? And any good restaurants? Oh, that's probably good, right? Good early flight, right?
5:45 a.m.
Oh,
And some people miss their wake-up call.
that is. Someone's like scrambled breakfast. They were like, I'll be down there in 15 minutes. Really?
We'll give it one more minute for the last group.
Frank, are you the warm-up act? Are you the warm-up band? I am. Or the MC?
Let the old guy go first.
Oh, boy.
What's his name? Your buddy's not here today. How was the meeting over? How was the meeting over at Splash Page? Bikers were there?
About 15 people.
50?
Probably five sport kayak against the Splash Page. The mayor left the presentation.
Yeah.
Zuba did a good job. Zuba did a really good job.
Talanta. All right. It's all yours.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I furiously tried to put this in rhyme before I got up here. And I just wasn't able to get the poet out, in me out. So with that said, I'm here just to introduce this program, the CLEAR program. The county involvement, and the reason why I guess I'm here is to sort of bring the nonprofit end of this along with the law enforcement end. The sheriff and the prosecutor and Director Moran are going to be speaking briefly about what this program is and what it means. This deals directly with the opioid crisis that is impacting this county as well as every county in the state of New Jersey. It is a great program from what we've looked at, and I think in one or two other counties where it's been implemented to date, this is a pilot. It is timely in that, as you will remember, Freeholder Hudak has an initiative this year that commits $150,000 to buy additional treatment and detox beds, which we are which will complement this as it gets off and running. I'll let him speak about that a little bit more later on. But with all of that said, I'd like to turn this over to the prosecutor to my left, and, Grace Park.
Thank you, Frank. And thank you to the chairman and to the rest of the board for allowing us to present on this extremely important topic. I think it's a sign of the true collaboration that we have in our community, not only between law enforcement, but also with the county, the Director of Human Resources, as well as community organizations like Prevention Links. We've all come together because we really can't solve this drug problem, specifically this heroin and opioid problem, without the resources of our entire community, and that's what we've come to realize. I think first it's important to lay out the problem. I know this Freeholder board is extremely familiar with the epidemic. New Jersey is 3 times the national rate in terms of overdose deaths. Opioid and prescription drugs, heroin, contribute to the #1 cause of accidental death in the U.S. now. And in this county, we had 55 overdoses last year, which is an increase from 5 prior years. And it's been, we've realized over time, I think law enforcement has realized over time, since I was a baby prosecutor, that we can't arrest our way out of this problem. We really do need to realize the resources in our community to address it in a holistic way. And about 3 years ago, what we started doing as law enforcement was starting deploying Narcan in the county in 2014. This turned into a partnership with the hospitals that we announced in November 2016, where they actually provided the Narcan to law enforcement. And just to address how much of a problem it still is, there were 155 deployments of Narcan last year. So you can imagine sort of the number of people overdosing or almost overdosing. And the remarkable impact of Narcan is that there were 150 saves. So there were only 5 deaths out of those deployments. But we realized that it was only a Band-Aid. Frankly, reviving someone who from almost dying from an overdose only is the first step to a solution to the problem. And so as part of this effort, actually, the sheriff came to me, and we started a task force, essentially, and involved the county police as well, to figure out how to get these folks, these deployment folks, these Narcan folks into treatment. And we formulated an agreement with the hospitals in which there are now recovery addiction coaches at these hospitals who will respond to the folks who have been revived by Narcan. And now we're taking the next step. Because ironically, if you're overdosing and revived by Narcan, you have recovery addiction specialists. If you're in the criminal justice system, you've ever been arrested for a crime, you have drug court. But if you're out in the community and just want help, there's really no resource. So that's where CLEAR comes in, which is the Community Law Enforcement Addiction Recovery Program. And it's really addressing those folks upstream that we haven't yet arrested, that haven't yet overdosed, but they have a problem. And this program, hopefully, will get help to those addicts before they enter the system and, frankly, use the resources of the system. And essentially, and as a sheriff and as the director will explain, there will be, they will be receiving addicts at their different agencies and essentially bringing recovery addiction specialists to them, the coaches to them, to get them help. And I'm very pleased to announce that we've put in a request to the AG's office that still needs to be approved by the Director of Criminal Justice for the use of forfeiture funds, our prosecutor's office forfeiture funds, money that is be seized as a result of narcotic proceeds, ironically, is now being used to help addicts in recovery. So we're hoping that we'll get approval for about $17,000 to really to enable this pilot, which we believe will fund about 135 responses to the sheriff's office and to the county police. And I'll now turn it over to.
Thank you, Grace. And if I could just briefly expand upon what the prosecutor said. The ME's office, as this Freeholder board knows, at my budget hearing, I explained that we saw a 40% increase in overdoses last year. I'm sorry to say that the first quarter of this year, overdoses are up 76%. Overdose deaths by fentanyl are up 50% just in the first quarter of this year. So this is a huge problem. I want to thank Sheriff Cryan, Prosecutor Park, and their staff. They've been excellent to work with. We've put this plan together in an incredibly short amount of time. And I'll just go into how it will work at the county police. Initially, we're going to have Tuesday and Thursdays, 8 to 4, that somebody can come to the county police department in Westfield and ask for help. They will be screened by a trained police officer who will fill out a questionnaire, do a criminal history search on them, and if they qualify for the CLEAR program, we will contact a specialist who will come out, counsel that individual, and work at an appropriate placement, whether that's in detox, inpatient, or intensive outpatient therapy, and we will assist with that process. This is a real important step because police officers need tools to do their job, and right now there's very little resources for police departments to respond to somebody coming in asking for help. On May 10th, officers from the Union County Police Department and Sheriff's Department will go have training in Westfield to administer this program, and then we will be in a position to start it on June 1st. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I first want to begin by thanking you all for your support I want to thank Frank Guzzo, and I know Frank mentioned the nonprofit world. Pam Capici from Prevention Links has been a leader with this, as well as Grace and Andy's leadership has really been remarkable. A couple statistics for you. The average age of an opioid addict in New Jersey and Union County is over the age of 40. I think sometimes we associate this as a very young disease, and it's not. The story I'd like to tell you, just one story is related from our crime scene folks, who have responded to way too many of these scenes along the way. And one of the things they'll tell you that unless it's a sudden young person tragedy, that inevitably, given the age that I just mentioned to you, that there is a significant silence when they arrive at a scene where someone has passed from an opioid addiction. Think about it. There's not the tears, there's not the sadness, there's not the family huddling together and what can we do next. There's almost a sense of relief. It is one of the more stirring parts of what our folks do each day, as all these folks do behind us, in terms of reminding us just how difficult this disease is. And this opportunity for us today, Andy mentioned what the county police will be doing on the Westfield side of it. The sheriff's office will have a mirror image here in Elizabeth 2 days a week, same Tuesdays and Thursdays, with the idea with the pilot that we'll collect data that we're looking to share with our fellow officers, and Grace, with your leadership, we intend to potentially look further than just these two. So we'll have Elizabeth and Westfield. Here, by the way, on site, on campus here, the new annex, where our BCI folks are located in the basement, is the site that's been selected. Those officers, 7 in total, will be trained to do the intake. I want to thank in particular Judge Cassidy as well as Grace for their leadership here, and I don't mind saying all of you for taking, let's be candid here, a very proactive step in this. We see what happens. We know there's an issue. And today, hopefully, along with the leadership that's been provided in the past in terms of narcan response, this is another opportunity for us to take a step to hopefully prevent that next level of opioid addiction. When we do that, we all win. And I'd be remiss that while we've done this part of the opportunity where law enforcement has taken an approach with the program, and let me just give you a couple quick stats. Ocean County has had the epidemic that's, for lack of, not in a polite way, but it's been kind of the standard in New Jersey because of how significant it's been. This pilot program was implemented in Brick and in Manchester and in 2017. In Brick, 2 days a week, Brick and Ocean County, from the beginning of the year to mid-March, they had 74 folks come in. Think about that, 2 days a week, 74 folks came in to a law enforcement agency and said, I need help. With the benefit of your progressive leadership, and in particular Freeholder, the expansion of beds, and thank you for that, the opportunity to provide those beds along with the partnership we have makes it a real possibility, and we believe a fervent way to run this program. People can come in, we can get their records cleared as we can, the peace of mind that goes with that. If they have illegal substances with them, we will take them. We will obviously mark them as evidence. We will handle it properly, frankly, thanks to the leadership of the folks behind me. And we'll be able to give families peace of mind, treatments to those that are addicted, and hopefully a better quality of life for all. So I want to thank you all for your help, and I really want to thank the folks who spoke before me, because it's their leadership that got this done. June 1st is our pilot date. If there's any questions, I think we'd be happy to answer them.
Freeholders, Vice Chairman.
Oh, I apologize, Freeholder, before you do. We gave you a handout on the brochure. The phone numbers aren't firmed up yet, which is why they're marked in red, but it'll give you some idea of how we'll begin to advertise this program. Apologize for that, please.
Go for it. All right, prosecutor mentioned before 55 overdoses last year alone. Exactly what communities in Union County were most of those overdoses from?
So,
and age, if you have age by chance.
I need to pull out some graphs.
I don't get
that. So this is just a representative sample for this year, if that's okay, Freeholder, because we don't have the last year's stats on hand. But it looks like for this year, the overdoses numbered the most in Plainfield with 14. Then it was Cranford with 6, Elizabeth with 5, Rahway with 4, Linden with 4. And then it looks like we've involved about 12 different municipalities in the county. So it's, I guess what it is, I was just reading out loud the top municipalities with overdoses, but there were a total of 12. What this shows, I think, is that it's not just an urban problem, it's a suburban problem. As the sheriff indicated, it's not just a young problem, because, you know, the average age is over 40. It really sort of crosses all communities.
I completely agree. Actually, this is what I did my presentation to graduate master's degree on, was actually this specifically. And one of my main reasonings, I knew Plainfield was up there too, is for the simple fact of maybe, I know we're kicking off as a pilot program, but possibly then bringing a location to Plainfield, because, you know, like I say, even for job fairs, et cetera, is that sometimes it's hard for individuals to get to the Westfield or to Elizabeth, is having a location close to that area of the county in which people can get to more easily and readily.
And I think the sheriff mentioned it, and I forgot to mention it. One of the main purposes of having a pilot is really to show the municipalities, and I don't think there's a disinterest at all. I think what they're, you know, what they'd like is to see the data and to see this pilot come off the ground in the next 6 months. And then the goal is to get all those municipalities, hopefully Plainfield and others, on board to do this type of response to these addicts.
And I think it's a great pilot program too, but if we're also seeing that Plainfield's one of the, you know, municipalities where people are being most affected by this, it's something that we should be trying to look at more, you know, aggressively.
Of course.
To have a location there for that simple fact alone too.
And just to give you a sense, we're actually having a presentation by the Newton chief to the chiefs in the county at the end of this month to talk more about the program. I've already asked for interest from the chiefs. And I, you know, so there has been a lot of conversation around this. I think, you know, clearly the sheriff and the county police are pioneers, but we are really, what we'd like to do is get the chiefs on board aggressively as soon as possible.
Just two more comments, well, questions too. Director Moran, you mentioned before if you qualify. So now, what exactly does it entail for you to qualify? And just to knock out the other question also, is in reference to, I know the ages for individuals who have this disease also, varying age groups also, is possibly, I know it's a pilot program in the future, maybe even creating a registration form or some type of thing online in which individuals can fill out their information and then take it to the next step there where somebody contacts them, et cetera. Because, you know, especially younger individuals, they have more access to technology, so older individuals, but sometimes it's a lot quicker filling the form out online and then taking it from there, in which you guys can have more readily access to responding back to them.
There might be disqualifiers that somebody could disqualify somebody from being accepted into the CLEAR program. What we talked about in our meetings was if somebody came in inquiring about the CLEAR program and they had a municipal warrant, relatively minor offense, we can contact that agency and see if that person can get released on their own recognizance. But obviously, if there's a warrant for the individual for a serious crime, you know, homicide, first, second, third degree crime, they wouldn't qualify for this program. But if somebody doesn't qualify, we still give them the information to contact Prevention Links on their own and try to assist them in recovery. But we wouldn't make that notification for them.
So basically, besides the whole law enforcement issues, basically almost everybody else who calls up would more or less qualify. Correct. For the most part. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
Freeholder Jalo.
Yeah, I guess you started to answer my question. So I'm assuming there's no safe surrender element to this whatsoever?
Within reason, you can bring in, family member brings you in and obviously wants that illegal substance out of their home, and they come into this new annex, they get screened and announce that they're there for recovery, and there'll be signs there as well. That's obviously a safe surrender situation where they won't be charged. The idea is to clear the record as much as you can and allow both, obviously, the person in need of addiction support and the family as well, the peace of mind moving forward that they can get that.
So is there any support within the program to clear past offenses, or like attorneys to work to you know, help so that when they're released from this program, they no longer have certain charges over them? Or
at this point, Freeholder, we're not at that point. One of the things we'll do throughout this pilot program is not only, to both your points, identify where folks come from, what those charges may be, and what tweaks. If you know Grace and Andy behind me, it's all about tweaking for the next level. We'll tweak for what we need next and what opportunities are there for that.
Fielder Estrada.
Yes, thank you very much. My question is recently the state has been announcing that they also have some means, either in person or through a website, that anyone who needs assistance will be getting it by going into this website. Has any of that been followed up to see whether in fact they can also supplement our own Clear program?
So there is a state program with a phone number and a website that's actually, we have publicized from the very beginning of our program in terms of distributing materials to Narcan deployments, and we are planning to supplement also at the department in terms of making sure that they have all the resources available. So we actually put together a pamphlet, and I wish I brought it, but maybe what we'll do is we'll forward it onto the Freeholder board so you could actually take a look at it. Because they really shouldn't just be enabled by our resources, but also the resources of the state as well.
I don't know. I'm about everybody's ability to help out in this process is welcomed. I mean,
exactly, and we agree as well. So we recognize that there are other resources, and there have been existing resources as well. So we put that together in one-page pamphlet for anybody who comes to the police station, whether or not it's the county police or the sheriff's office, but also at Narcan deployments as well. So that's what we've been distributing.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Freeholder Carter.
Go ahead.
If I may just add to that, Mr. Chairman, Freeholder Estrada, I think part of the other addition to this, which is sort of another cog in this wheel, is there is a large grant that the state has let out, and it's called the Opioid Overdose Recovery Program, or ORP. This county, along with 2 other counties, are slated for the next tier funding on this, and then there's a process that we're going through right now in order to apply through Prevention Links. The key to that is it's dealing with Narcan as an example, where it's the same, sort of the same idea in that someone that needs to get to recovery quickly, a recovery coach goes to the hospital as they're transported, and that recovery coach will work with them to try to determine what's the best course for them, whether it be outpatient or inpatient treatment as a result of that. So we've got so far, you need the cooperation of the hospitals, and Prevention Links, which is the lead applicant, so far has received support from Overlook Hospital and Trinitas. And we've worked with JFK. As you know, JFK is in the western end of the county, and one of the biggest concerns that we all had is if someone needs treatment and needs it immediately, the closest hospital in the western end of that county is JFK. And so they're in the process of working out an agreement with them so that that program can also take place in that hospital.
Thank you, Fielder Carter.
Thank you, Chairman. I want to take an opportunity, and I agree wholeheartedly with what Vice Chair said in reference to looking at data and looking at information. When you look at, and advocating also for Plainfield, but when you look at these numbers, statistically it shows that Plainfield has a higher amount. But I have to disagree with the fact that distance may not play as large of a factor in making sure location. And it does. When you have individuals that are out there, sometimes, you know what, from one location to 2 or 3 towns over, person can truly change their mind because of the state of mind they're already at that point. So I would really like to see something. I know that there's a location based off pamphlet that it would be something in Westfield along with here in Elizabeth, but something also a little bit closer to the Plainfield area, seeing that statistically based off of what history that you already have, that is a higher number out in that part of the county. Also making sure that we have some type of communications with the schools, preferably the high schools. Being a high school teacher myself, what ends up happening is the fact that, I have had students where they literally have gone and said, listen, I want help.
their help comes from that environment versus in their home, because that's the environment that it surrounds them, the same environment that they're trying to get help from. So making sure that that information is with the schools and they're having it to make sure that they can communicate back and know where the resources are.
One thing on the second part of your comment, which is about the prevention piece. We've had, what, 2-3 meetings now, and we've agreed we will be dedicating our staff, and whether it's an officer from the sheriff's office or not, we will prepare and have somebody in the schools beginning in September. We recognize, here's what we've done so far collaboratively, all of us together, I think, at some level. Right? We've been able to provide an emergency response with recovery specialists in the emergency room on narcan hits. With this program, we'll provide opportunities for people to gain recovery if they are, in fact, in the mindset to actually do so. And then finally would be a prevention piece as well. We will have somebody with the beginning of the school year, jointly among all of us, who will be there, who will take direction from all of us, with the idea of being in the schools, in community groups, wherever is needed, trained in order to provide a presentation. And I'd be remiss if I didn't thank the Ocean prosecutor, who allows us, between his Joe Cornado, who has more videos and things like that, more handouts and things that are useful that we've been able to utilize so far and will continue to use. So we agree with you on the prevention piece. We've discussed it very strongly among us.
So one of the things that I started a prosecutor was our superintendent's forum with the schools. Every year, that's what we do. We get together with schools and talk about different issues. And one of the things that I spent probably the vast majority of our last forum, along with Director Mann and the sheriff, was going through not only this issue, but also a video that we wanted every school to see. It's called Chasing the Dragon. It's about half an hour. It's an amazing video that really needs to be shown all throughout the county. So, you know, what we're doing is not only being out in the schools, as the sheriff mentioned, but we're also providing the schools with some tools. I also have spent probably the vast majority of my time talking about this topic with school parents and at the different districts. So we are very much with you, Freeholder, in terms of we completely understand that this is a prevention issue and that needs to start at the schools, and we will continue to push that aggressively.
Okay, in reference to being closer in Plainfield, please, 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 please.
Freeholder Mirabella.
Just a quick question from me. You mentioned the schools. What age group? Is it high school? Is it middle school? Is it even earlier than that? You're going to start this conversation with the kids?
It's generally a middle school and a high school. The video is actually intended for middle school and high school kids. I mean, a conversation could probably start in elementary school, but that's sort of what we've been focusing on.
Thank you.
Freeholder Hudak.
Thank you, Chairman. I just wanted to close the loop, and first of all, I want to thank Director Moran, the sheriff, and the prosecutor, and all their teams on their leadership on this particular issue. It's one that's near and dear to my heart. I spent 5 years in the drug prevention field, and I can think back 15 years ago speaking to a friend of mine who was working for the Drug Enforcement Agency and saying, you know, where do you see the trends going over the next 10 years? And at that time, there was a lot of talk about methamphetamine, and that was going to be the big problem in New Jersey. And he said, no, he said, it's heroin. He said, it's coming from Colombia, and it's $5 a bag. And it's cheaper, and it's not going to be in one part of the county either, because we're seeing at that time, we were seeing a lot of push with OxyContin, and that was getting into the community, and the fact that the prevalence of prescription painkillers. And he said, you will see that in 5 to 10 years, you're going to have so many people who are addicted to prescription painkillers. Once they lose that avenue, they will turn to this pure, and it's, you know, the heroin that was on the street 40, 50 years ago was something I think like 20, 30% pure. This is 90% or greater pure heroin that's coming in to this region. And it's coming right in through the port, it's coming into the airports. This is a point of distribution, and he said it will spread, and you will be shocked, and you will be petrified about what you see. And I have to say that he underplayed the picture that he drew for me years later, seeing it as it's developed. I'm very enthusiastic about the different programs that our various law enforcement programs in Union County have put forth. With the Narcan and addressing people who are overdosing. The trick with the Narcan, unfortunately, is that you save someone, but they probably are not ready to go into recovery. You've saved a life, but they may not necessarily be ready to have their life fully saved. And I think that is where I was speaking with Sheriff Crine. I think this CLEAR program is such a great logical step, and I think from the numbers he was showing me in Ocean County, I think it's going to be a very short effort to get buy-in from our communities and see it spread throughout. And it is a problem that we need to, it is not simply 1 or 2 municipalities. This is in 21 municipalities and spreading like a fire, dumping gallons of gasoline on it every day. It's a real serious issue. So I want to thank them for their leadership, and I'm sure we're going to hear more about this, and I'm looking forward to the success of this program. And I fully sit here today saying I hope that you see great success in this pilot, and then you come back in a couple more months and ask for more support, because I think I speak for everyone that we are more than willing to give whatever resources are needed to address it. To which point I want to thank my colleagues in advance. As it was, we did announce it in the beginning of the year, but as much as it is important that we address people who are dealing with addiction, with Narcan in the field, that we are welcoming people into recovery, there is a serious gap in terms of when someone has made the choice to receive treatment, that they can actually not get it. There is a lack of funding, and Director Guzzo's there, so if I am incorrect in any of my language, please get up and correct me. But there's a serious gap of those who are unable to actually get treatment once they seek it. So I want to thank in advance. I know a resolution is coming, and I believe it is for the $150,000 that Chairman Bergen announced in the beginning of the year, and that will fund 185 beds for individuals from Union County for 2 outpatient centers. I'll let you know in advance they are not in Union County. It's New Hope and Turning Point. The detox centers in, I believe, Trinitas and JFK, they don't have the long-term beds. So these individuals will go out. But that funding will go, once we are able to bring people in through these programs, there is going to be an avenue to get them real help, to try to kick this terrible problem. So I hope this is, a growing first step, and I appreciate the enthusiasm from everyone on the law enforcement side of the county, and as well as from the human services side. But I think this is a very early investment, and I appreciate what we're hearing from the state, and I think they're saying a lot of the right things about it. But as we know, we cannot depend on state funding or federal funding. Moreover, as we're seeing what's going on with the healthcare debate on the national level, there may be more people who will fall into that gap coverage. So this becomes that much more important. So again, in advance, I thank you for your support of this initiative, everyone. It's important that we do this, and I think it really has, we're fortunate to have great leadership in law enforcement that has been beating the drum early and often to get us to this point. We need to go further. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Freeholder. Any other questions or comments from the board? Anything further any of you would like to address to the program? No. Well, then I will thank you for your hard work and working together as we do here in Union County. We can all be proud of where we're headed, and you know you have the support of this board. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Turning to our regular agenda, this is an agenda session, so in 2 weeks at our regular meeting on May 18th, we will approve communication. Then turning to our proposed resolutions, we have Office of Union County Prosecutor. We have 2 resolutions. presume First Assistant Eisenhower will stand for those.
Sorry, Chairman, it took me a little while to get up here.
That's
Good
okay.
evening, good evening, members of the board. The prosecutor's office has 2 resolutions on for your consideration. I'll be happy to take any questions you may have.
Freeholders, any questions? Seeing none? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Department of Administrative Services, Director Yuska.
Good evening, members of the Freeholder Board. The department has 1 resolution. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the board? Freeholder Estrada.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Director Yuska, this particular is 2 vans. Are they the ones used for the prior transit system?
No, sir. They are for the Meals on Wheels program, for replacing 2 worn-out vans that carry ovens and.
Do you have any idea what kind of vehicle we're buying?
I beg pardon?
What brand or what manufacturer?
Transit is the brand. It's Ford Transit, right? Ford Transits? Ford Transits.
That's the name of the brand?
Yes, it's the tall ones you see now.
Oh,
They're
the new
short and
ones,
tall.
okay. So 45,000 for 2?
2. 22
Okay.
and change each.
Oh, each is 42,000?
No, 22 and change.
Oh, 22 each, okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Director. Department of Economic Development, Amy Wagner, who's sitting in for our absent County Manager. Deputy County Manager has 2 resolutions. Any questions from the board on these 2? Seeing none, thank you. Department of Engineering, Director Graziano.
Good evening, Chairman, Freeholders. The department has 9 resolutions on tonight, and I'll try and answer any questions you have.
Questions from the board on this? Yes, Vice Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman. Just in reference to number 6, so what was the reasoning of them not meeting the contracting requirements? Like, what were some of the examples?
They never turned in any of their paperwork for the snow removal contract. We never, we just never were able to get them fully done and fully executed. So we ended up going back and using the vendor we had last year.
Good. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Freeholder Mirabella.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director, can you talk a little bit about number 3 and what's going to happen in that redevelopment?
Sure, I'll do my best. Number 2, 3, and 4 are all related. This all has to do with Lenape Park. In number 2, we're applying for a grant for some of the LSRP work and also for some of the work that has to be done there. There is some remediation that has to be done at that park from all the lead shot that's been there for years. And if you go out there now, currently it's all fenced off, and there's signs saying that we're in the middle of a study for that. Number 3, we have to, as part of the grant application, we have to enter, we have to submit somewhat of a plan that we're going to redevelop the park, and we're going to redevelop it as a passive park. That's part of our application in the area that's affected. There's nothing more detailed on that yet until we have, just to see if we get the application and the grant. The grant will cover 75% of the costs if we are awarded.
So the grant is for the cleanup?
The grant is for
remediation?
partially for the LSRP that we've already spent, and for partial of the cleanup as well.
Okay.
We don't know what the cleanup's going to cost us yet. It's going to be up. It's going to be pretty expensive.
Freeholder Estrada.
Okay. I got 2 questions, but let me start with number 4.
Sure.
Is the amount of 585, 521 for the LSRP
Correct.
strictly for Lenape Park?
Yes.
No kidding.
Yes.
For how long have you, was that
Going there
expenditure?
for probably since before I started working with the county, and now this has continued on. I mean, at least 10 years, and it's gonna continue. You have to stick with the LSRP that's on the site. You can't really change LSRPs. So the licensed site remediation contractor has to stay with that site. You have to keep testing and keep testing. This is what the final stage hopefully should be. If we can get the whole thing remediated, that's why we have the fencing out there now, get the whole park remediated, and get this redevelopment plan approved with with the feds and with the state, with the DEP. Everything's being done as per DEP, Freeholder, so we're just following whatever rules we have to through there, and that's what the cost is up to now. And
Yes,
hopefully
I-
we can we get some of them back with the grant
Okay,
of what
so-
we spent already.
So the long-term plan is to do what? To encapsulate or to remove or?
To remove it.
To remove it?
Yes.
Wow. You know that we have a no clearance, and I'm sure Bob Barry remembers from the federal, if you remember that many years ago, I was the chair then, and I know that we got a clearance that we didn't have to do anything else with it, but I guess the state of New Jersey just changed its mind, I guess.
No, actually, the administrative consent order that we entered with the EPA was limited
EPA.
to any federal oversight and control.
Just federal.
It wasn't yeah, clearly, at that point in time, DEP was not pursuing any activity, but that was always a likelihood.
I guess with the changes in Washington, maybe they'll change the whole requirement now.
That would be nice.
Hard to believe. Okay, that was one question. Let me get to
Sure.
my second one. And number 5, I did see some things listed. What exactly are we using? And I'm glad to see that we have Dan Sullivan here who may be able to answer, or unless you know, Joe.
I'll
what
try my
exactly are we
best
using the
and-
350 for?
I'll try my best, and I'll defer to the chairman at that point. But this is step 2. We had the first space study over the last year with Colliers International, and out of that study came our next step as to what we really need to do with our complex, with our buildings. The hazardous materials a survey of the old jail has to be done. Planning and design of the old jail has to be done. A study of the material storage requirements that we need. A detailed program and workspace strategy study for the admin building as well. Detailed programming and workplace study for probation. Also the same for human and social services. And also part of it is a parking study to identify the increasing needs of parking in this whole area that we have. And this is just part of it. This isn't limited to this, and this will all be done through the Improvement Authority. They will hire a vendor as per local public contracts law to get this thing done for us. And then we'll be at a point where we'll be able to go out to bid if we decide to do any of the work that is recommended from that study.
You already mentioned the terminology, designed.
Yes.
Is there any design on this 350?
Yes, I believe there is. There'll be planning, design, and as of the old jail. So we will get a plan once we're finished with this, I believe. Dan? Correct. That's correct. Yes, we will.
Okay, all right, that makes it more palpable.
Yes, thank
I
you.
thought 350 was kind of high. Thank
But
you.
with the plan, it isn't.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Fielders, any other questions? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.
Department of Finance, Director Taylor.
You know that answer 500,000.
Good evening, Chairman and members of the board. The Department of Finance has 4 resolutions this evening, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Yes, Freeholder Hudak.
Thank you, Chairman. BB, number 2, why are we, I'm sorry, was it number 1, the appraisal for Al Bender, what's the purpose of that?
The Administrative Office of the Courts notified our vendor that does our indirect cost plan that in order to reimburse us, they essentially need comparable rental rate appraisals for the county, for the buildings that we own and rent that house Title 4D staff.
Okay. Thank you, Chairman.
Anyone else? Thank you, Director. Department of Human Services, Director Guzzo.
Good evening again, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. The department has 4 resolutions on for your consideration. In addition, if I may, pursuant to the conversation we had previously, if I can work out the details of the contract that we would want to put on to handle the $150,000 that Freeholder Hudak has as the initiative. If I may, that one would be to amend to the existing agreements that we have with both New Hope and Turning Point. They are presently vendors of ours through an RFP process. So our proposal would be to amend those existing agreements, add the requisite dollars to put the beds in place so that when that program, being the pilot program that the sheriff and prosecutor spoke about this evening, things will be in place in the event that floodgates open up and more treatment beds are needed. And the system at presently probably could not handle if there's a large influx because there's limited dollars for rehab and detox. So that would be the reso for in 2 weeks. If I can't do it, I'll notify you and we'll put it on for the double meeting on the 25th.
Very good.
In addition, I have 4 more that's on your printed agenda, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have at this time.
Any questions on the 4 and plus the add-on for the director? Yes, Freeholder Estrada.
Quick question, number 2, does this mean that is CFG the same provider that we have over at the jail, or they're a different one? CFG Health Service Systems.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, it is the same provider that we've had since, I believe, 2015. There was a decision made this year. Previously, this was all handled through payment by the county jail. There was a decision made to take the portion that belongs to the Juvenile Detention Center and put it in the Juvenile Detention Center's budget. So as a result of that, we need to do a resolution in order to.
But it's the same company?
Same company.
Okay, so
No
we
difference.
have used the benefit of having larger volume. Hopefully we'll get better price, hopefully. Thank you.
Freeholder Hudak.
Thank you, Chairman. I would be I'd be remiss. I thank the sheriff and the prosecutor for their leadership, as well as Director Moran. I also appreciate the work that you're doing coordinating with those law enforcement agencies within the county, as well as your role as the Director of the Department of Human Services, as well with all the nonprofits throughout the state and the county in this project. So thank you very much, Director. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Freeholder.
Thank you, Freeholder.
Anyone else? Thank you, Director. Department of Parks and Recreation, Director Zuber.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Freeholders. Department of Parks and Recreation has 4 items on tonight's agenda. Regarding number 1, for Ashbrook, Director Sanchez is here to help out, and I'll try questions 2, 3, and 4.
Thank you. Any questions? Vice Chairman.
Elaborate on number 1, please. Elaborate on it, please.
Elaborate?
Yep.
Mr. Chairman?
Like, what's the reasoning behind making this addition? Do we see that there's going to be additional revenue coming in? Or do we see people in the interest of having this type of facility at Ashbrook, et cetera?
Absolutely. The clubhouse at Ashbrook, which we have, is the original clubhouse at Ashbrook, so it's approximately over 50 years old. A lot of the problems that we experience at Ashbrook start not only with our sewer systems, the septic systems. The facility is not handicap accessible, number 2. We have a growing population of golfers out there that have experienced, need the facility to be used, but we also see it as a local potential revenue source for the local area in regards to restaurant and being able to service the local community. So it's not just going to be a golf-specific clubhouse, it's going to be utilized by the local area as well. We do see the potential to increase our outing revenues as well over there with the addition of the clubhouse, where we can now host outings in the size of 100 to 120 players, which we are never able to do. We didn't have the facilities for it. So we'll be able to have both venues, Galloping Hill and Ashbrook, to operate and host bigger venues.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes. Freeholder Estrada.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. What increase of rounds do you foresee that will be generated because of the fact is that now we have a clubhouse there?
We've spoken at this at length,
Yes.
and I don't think that we're going to see the increase in rounds. What I think we're going to see is the increase in the number of the price per dollar per round is going to go up. We'll see, since we'll be able to have more outings out there, which is going to not necessarily increase rounds, but when we do have our outings, the players do play on average anywhere from $15 to $20 more per those rounds. So our average price per player is actually going to increase, which we're going to see revenues not only from the food and beverage operations increase, but we're going to see our direct golf revenues increase as well.
I had the opportunity to see some of the drawings on it. It looks very nice. I think that in that area, I guess it was very much needed. We've had a very old style facility that didn't meet the requirements there. So hopefully it will do that, and I hope more people will get a chance to play.
Absolutely.
We hope.
We will.
Thank you, Freeholder. Freeholder Mirabella.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll stick with number one. Just say I'm really happy to see this on here because the existing clubhouse was, as the director said, 50 years old, but suffered from heating problems and cooling problems, and it wasn't a real suitable space from my perspective. And with the great attention that Galloping Hill has come under, and the great work that's been done there, and the pride we've all taken in that facility, I think we'll have equal pride in this and our other golf course. I think back in the day when we decided to close Oak Ridge, we said we were going to put some attention to the two existing golf courses, and this is a fulfillment of that commitment at that time. So I'm happy to see this. I have one other comment, Chairman. It's not necessarily as a result to the resolutions here, but it's in praise of Director Zuber, who earlier this week, at the request of the mayor of Scotch Plains, attended the Scotch Plains meeting and did a fine job giving a synopsis of the bike trails, some of the issues that were going on there, and did a nice job with the mayor and council there as a border community of the Watchung Reservation. They had some concerns and wanted to hear directly from the county. He did a terrific job kind of outlining the steps and what's happened. Took questions from the mayor and council, and kind of was a mini, from my perspective, mini freeholder meeting with many residents from across the county using the opportunity in a public forum to give their comments, both positive and negative, as far as the trails was concerned. So I, have no problem taking that for the rest of the guys here and ladies, freeholders. It was part of my day job anyway, so it was good. But I did want to say publicly in front of this board and for anybody listening that the director did a nice job and continues to do a very good job with this issue. And it's as complex as it is, he's represented the county as well as he could. So I appreciate that, Director.
Thank you, Freeholder. Any other questions for Director on this? Seeing none, thank you. Next we have freeholder resolutions. Are there any additions, friendly amendments, etc.? Freeholder Kowalski.
Yes, thank you. With Freeholder Wright's permission, I'd like to join her on number 11. And I'd like to join the chairman on 14 and 15. And I'm wondering if maybe the entire board would like to join on the legal services issue. It's we discussed this in HISAC. It's legal services. Their budget is being cut by the state, and they provide help especially to immigrants and children of immigrants, and cuts to their budget are going to have a real serious impact here in Union County. So just putting that one out there.
Freeholder Carter.
I will have some laudatories for next week, but I'd like to, with Freeholder Wright, be on number 11, Vice Chairman number 13. I'd also like to be added on if Freeholder Hudak for number 2, and Freeholder Jallo and Freeholder Wright on number 3, and also on 14 and 16.
Oh, so basically all.
Just about. Let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nope, only half. Sorry.
Freeholder Estrada.
Yes, if at all possible, if Freeholder Vice Chair Granados would indulge me, I'd like to join him on number 12. And also, if my colleague Hudak would like to indulge me, would like to be there on the number 2. I think I'm going to be in that event as well. So that's about it. Thank you very much, if you can.
Okay. Thank you, Freeholder Mirabella.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I may have several resolutions to add to.
Thank you. Freeholder Hudak.
I have one sympathy and one laudatory to add.
Thank you. Freeholder Jallo.
Chairman, I'd like to be added to 12, 13, and I believe 16 is going to be from the entire board. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Okay, so that as well.
Thank you. Vice Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman. Just as a result of fiscal committee, we'll have additional resolutions pertaining to infrastructure grants and also sponsorship requests, along with the laudatory we have.
Thank you. And I've been asked to have an opportunity for some of the statistics that were given to be updated, so.
I apologize.
No problem.
John McCabe, the acting chief of detectives for the Union County Prosecutor's Office. When Grace spoke about the statistics before, that 22 figure, I gave her a sheet. That was the Narcan deployments, which shows obviously, which is important, that Plainfield has the most number of deployments. However, when I went back and checked the OD stats, I'll give it to you right now. We're at 23 for the year. Now, what we use for ODs is a verification from the ME's office that the toxicology report came back with a positive precedence for opiate or heroin. So I can give you those figures. Plainfield, 2. Elizabeth,
That's much better.
6. Union, 6. Kenilworth, 1. Springfield, 6. Rawway, 2. Now that's as of March, so again, it usually takes about 3 months for a couple of weeks or so, 3 or 4 weeks to get the toxicology report back.
Yes, Vice Chairman.
Those numbers, provide different numbers in reference to Plainfield, but I think myself, I know Freeholder Carter, I still believe in the factor that we should be trying to look for a location closer to that side of the county in which people can get better served also.
Understood.
Even
And
with
as
those
you know, the
numbers.
Narcan deployments with the stats the prosecutor read, they're the highest in right now in Plainfield.
Exactly.
Those were the Narcan saves.
Freeholder Estrada.
Just a quick one.
Yes,
You were
sir.
saying the numbers that you gave, total of 23, are actually deaths because of overdose?
Correct.
Wow.
So far.
So far.
And that is as
So far
of,
this
like
year.
as of about March, the beginning of this year, from January to about March,
Wow.
is what the stats show.
23 deaths. Wow.
Thank you for allowing me to clarify that.
Could we-
Well, we appreciate it very much.
Chairman, could we just request, just for the board's information, the 2016 stats, just so we can get a full picture on the year?
These were 17, you know that, right?
Yeah, no, I
Yes.
understand that.
If you, I think if you could send the 16 full year statistics to our clerk so they can be distributed to the board.
Absolutely.
Yeah, overdose and the Narcan.
Right.
Both,
Right.
no problem.
Yep.
Thank you.
You got it. Thank you. Thank you again.
Thank you. I do have one more laudatory resolution. Long-time assignment judge in Union County, Judge Beglin, died this morning, and I will have a laudatory in that respect for 2 weeks from now. Anyone else who wants to add any resolutions? Seeing none, I'll call for a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Have a good evening.